Welcome, we are back with another series of Zero to Hero, Healer Edition. We've tanked our way to Keystone Hero and we've sliced our way through on DPS, but now it's time to do the hard part, get Keystone Hero as a healer. Just a little side note before we kick things off. These videos are purely for entertainment. I may flame a few people, but it's all in good fun. I'm also terrible at this game, so before you go in the comments and type some stuff, take a long hard look in the mirror and realise this is why you don't get invited to parties. What? Now we got that out of the way, let's lay down some ground rules. No gold transfers, no logging onto my alts to help me with repairs. If I'm low on cash, I gotta suffer and start doing some digital slavery, aka mining and herbing. No Raider IO connection. This means I can't go around flexing my inflated IO rating. I gotta keep it blank so it looks like I've never played the game before. But we won't need to worry about that because my gameplay will speak for itself. Last but certainly not least, this is a solo journey, so no hitting up my Discord to ask for a carry. I gotta ride this ship alone, and if it fails and sinks, I'm gonna go down with it. Now the foundation's laid out, let's jump into some dungeons. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm suffering big time. I thought if I named my character Bless Up, it would give me some divine power, but no. Instead, it's giving me teammates who don't even know how to press a defense button. But to be fair, my healing was a bit of an issue as well. The main mechanic of Priest is keeping atonement on all your teammates, and then just deal damage. But if you remember the good old days of my Mistweaver, you know my renewing mist up time was shocking. So this means I'm going to be struggling a lot. Just like on the first boss, I had zero planning going into this boss, so during the intermission I had nothing to help out my team. If this key was any higher, my group would have collapsed. The second intermission was just as bad. People was running out my range and I had no idea if the damage I was doing to the boss was actually healing my group, because during this phase he's meant to be immune. Despite the dreadful healing, no one actually died.
Are you sure about that?
Well, not until the last bit of the fight, but we don't talk about that. This dungeon only gets worse from here too. Because I don't have an interrupt, I knew this climb was going to be a pain in the ass. I'm normally the one to interrupt this stuff, so when it actually goes out, I'm not used to the effects. This volley perfectly lines up with the swirl mechanic. So I got slowed, and having no insane movement mechanics, I got hit by the swirl and died. The exact same thing happened on the next pack too. Fucking can't do this, bro. Can they fucking interrupt? And when I saw there's only been a grand total of 8 interrupts this entire dungeon, I just knew we was in for a good one. If your group can't even interrupt mechanics, how do you expect them to do actual mechanics on the boss? If I was an actual gamer, I could have been able to heal this boss, plus do the B mechanic. But only being on healer for like 12 minutes, there's only so much a guy can do. I slightly got used to doing both on the second attempt, but we still got overwhelmed. All I had to do was destroy the barrels. I was getting overwhelmed. They was making it 10 times harder than it needed to be. I can't heal and do the bees at the same time. I just can't. I can't. I don't have the eye level and I don't have the confidence. I don't even know half my buttons. I'm still learning. We was slowly building up that knowledge, but once we got to the Zav wing, it all went out the window. My tank rushed ahead before we've even finished off the last mob, so his big AoE came out and blasted us down. I did manage to recover, but once I did, my brain just shut off and I forgot what button to press. So instead, I just slowly watched myself die. I pressed my health pot. I've definitely pressed my health pot. Ain't no way I didn't press it. Zav didn't go any better either. Honestly, this was just embarrassing. I still don't even know what I was doing wrong. First we lost our mage, this meant we had no one to kill the banner. And again, with no fancy movements, I just died. Again, I'm dead. And again. I can't do anything. That was the only issue I really had in this dungeon. The rest of it went smooth, so we easily timed it with 5 minutes to spare. I'm him. This is really hard. When I was playing Mistweaver, I was used to being in melee, so I was like following people around a lot, so it was easier. But now that I'm ranged and like when people start ticking health, I don't know what buttons to press. I just kind of watch them die, and I don't know if I'm meant to use penance on the enemies or am I meant to save it for when my teammates take big damage. I don't know. It seems like atonement, when I have atonement on people, the only time when it does like good amount of healing is when I use mind blast and turn into like this void demon. and then Void Blast does like 10% of their health every hit, or maybe 5%. So I really don't know. I'm hoping these guys are decent eye level, so it's not kind of a completely rough one. This dungeon also turned out alright. The first death was because my brain just shut off. I'm too busy thinking about what buttons I need to press that I didn't even realise I was about to die. Oh, whoops. Thankfully, my team was able to hold out and kill the boss, but we did lose our tank in the process. The third boss was easy. The only scary part is when the ad comes out, and the only other scary part on this dungeon was straight after the boss. But it turns out it was actually a breeze. I did need to burn a few cooldowns, however, they're not really needed for the next area, because you can just jump into a bubble and become immortal. The last boss is also pretty straightforward. I even finally got to use my meld tech, where you basically dodge a full mechanic and take 0 damage. The only deadly bit on this boss is when the magnet sucks you in, but as long as you're far away from it, you take insane reduced damage, so this was also a breeze. But now, it's back to pure panicking on a 2 Cinder Brew. I'm dead. Oh, I'm him. Oh shit. Oh, I'm choking. Save me. Something. Do something. What the fuck is going on? We somehow managed to live through that and took out the boss. We had a little bit of a hiccup on the IPA boss, but this has happened to every tank at some point this season. I was also slowly feeling more confident to do mechanics while also still healing. Then we got to the final boss, which was just pure mayhem. Not only did I have to dodge every barrel going off in the room, I had a tank that never lined up his frontal. Instead, it would swing it around the room like he was at some frat party.
Put it away.
Yo, this guy. But we dodged it and finished off the dungeon. And I thought the next dungeon was going to be the exact same. We only had 2 deaths going into the final boss, but then it all went downhill from here. I don't know why, but this boss was a pain in the ass to heal. I had a tank who was getting himself punched into pools. We got him back up, but me not realizing how big the room was, I ran out of healing range, so he ended up dying. We ran it back, but it was the same thing. But instead of a pool, it was straight off the map this time. And then came the flaming. I was straight up being told to dispel. I'm sorry, but there's only so much I can do. I can't dispel stupidity. The worst thing is though, the tank joined in. But then I felt bad a few minutes later, because it turns out he wasn't actually flaming, but asking a question. I spent so many years playing League of Legends, I forgot the question mark actually means asking a question, and not just being a condescending arsehole. After I realized it was a question, I told him and guided him with pings, like a nice little healer. And honestly, he improved. I can't say the same for my DPS though. They were still getting 100 to 0'd in a matter of seconds. We did try to play it out, but it was a losing battle. I can't do it, boys. I can't do it. These guys are just... I don't know. On the final attempt, we had a minute on the clock. It was time to go big or go home. If we didn't lock in and pump our hearts out, we would have wasted 33 minutes of our lives. But with the skin of our teeth, we finally killed the boss. So all that pain and suffering wasn't wasted. You thought them last few dungeons were rough? Well, you thought wrong. I want to talk about these goddamn prop paladins.
What the hell did I do?
There's a couple of them in the next few dungeons, so let's break each one down. Explain to me how this dude was killing each pack one by one. And I'm not kidding either. This dude was taking it so slow, you could probably stop. But what I just don't get is how he went from doing that to pulling this. Like, what the fuck? And don't even think about going in the comments and saying, this pull isn't that bad. It's dumb. Plain and simple. There's so much unnecessary damage for a measly few percent. This was also back before the Lynx nerf, so yeah, this pull is bad. Don't forget, I've been healing for like 2 hours at this point too, so there's only so much I can do. I knew we was in for a bad time before we even got to Baron, so when we actually got there, panic set in. And it wasn't so bad at first, but when the 5 soak came out on top of Vindictive Wrath, I knew it was GG. They soak too early, and the shield comes out and slows me. My little legs can barely make out of the circle in time, and because I couldn't deal any damage to heal on a group, we all eventually died. And at that point, there was only 9 minutes left in the dungeon, so the key was basically over. So they all just quit. The next dungeon didn't go any better. Dare I say it was even worse. This dude just ran straight in and almost got one-banged. I've not played Prot Paladin all that much, but surely they don't take this much damage. I was fighting for my life trying to keep this dude alive, but he eventually fell over. I was convinced this guy wasn't pressing any buttons, because even with a pain sup, this dude was taking way more damage than I could handle. The pulls he was doing was also next to insane. I mean, I know it's a 2, but 5 assassins, a thug, and a peacekeeper is not your typical pull. And then we got to the first boss, and even during the melee phase, this dude was just getting slapped up. The thing that sucks the most is we nearly finished this whole mechanic, but instead of finishing it off, my 2 melee decided to run away, and the ball blows up, kills my tank, and then we eventually wiped. To rub it in even more, I checked the logs and see my tank only has 4% uptime on Shield of Righteousness. Like, come on. I got tired of 2s at this point, so I finally dipped my toes into some 4s. And I thought it was gonna go better, but no. I have a tank who think he's him, when in fact, he's just a straight up idiot. Not only did he run off and chain pull a super difficult pack, he tanked it in a path where another deadly pack roams, so once them bad boys joined in, it was basically over. I did try some tech where I line of sight any cast being put on me, but I can only keep that up for so long. I did get a res and we did kill this pack, but this pull was not necessary at all. Even the next pull after the first boss was baffling. It went from 100 to 0 in a matter of seconds. For some reason, we pulled this pack, and that just completely threw me off my game. We then ran around the corner to pull another pack, but by the time I got there, not only did my atonement run out, I couldn't even cast my AoE ability because I was afraid I'd be sucked into the death swirl. When I got back, we were still tanking that pack on the stairs, so I couldn't even heal half the group. The 3 main things I drilled into my head when learning this game was don't stand in the bad stuff, interrupt, and never fight on stairs. No one died, but before I could compose myself and figure out which button I put my mass dispel on, the tank was already jumping into the next pack. And I mean, I don't blame him. I do the exact same thing. But damn, give a brother time to catch his breath. Understanding my heal range is becoming a big problem for me. I just keep forgetting if I play too far away, half my abilities won't even land on my teammates, and no atonements on them will always lead to someone dying. But mixing that in with all the other mechanics, plus that annoying ass affix, it's becoming a little bit overwhelming for me. Even though this dungeon was hell, I think it made me more confident. But these sort of pulls are not okay, Mr. Tank. I was slowly getting into a rhythm, but because now I'm doing 4s, there was an affix thrown into the mix, and it was completely throwing me off. Not only did I have to worry about dispelling the affix, I also had 2 Feasting Void to worry about. And I did almost make it through it, but after a while, we died. I have a feeling he's going to chain pull. Oh my god, he is. That's so stupid though. I don't know why he would ever do this. Yeah, the chain pull didn't stop, and it didn't even make any sense either. The dungeon was already failed. Why add more time onto it when you can already see I'm struggling? And then this motherfucker had the audacity to flame me too, but just forgot to mention that I had a warrior only doing 300k damage. Like, what the fuck? Also, this tank was doing some wild pulls and was expecting me to be some god tier healer, but even with 2 hours experience, I thought I was doing a decent job. The embarrassing thing about all this though, once we started the boss, everyone, including the tank, stacked in the middle of the room, leaving me 0 room to do anything. Like, how can you call my healing terrible when you have 0 clue how to play the game? We of course wiped. I mean, I can't heal stupid, but man, people can take 0 accountability on this game. I mean, I know I'm not great at healing, but some of these tanks and some of these DPS have no clue what's going on and just expect you to bail them out. We finished the dungeon, but I'm so worked up writing the script, I'm just going to end it here, because even the next dungeon was so tilting. If you want to see me rant some more and die 1,000 more times, then tune in next time. And as always, if you like the content, subscribe. If you made it this far, we already know you like the content, so subscribe anyway. Like, comment, all of that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.